Right, we are back and dangerous. And Toby, yes, I have muted your microphone for you for 5 seconds. On Loose Lines is back for another week, the most unstructured, unorganised, unready show we've ever had. Toby McKinnon joins me with some numbers. And Daniel Hibberd. Boys, welcome.
Hello, Paul.
Hello, Mr. Campbell. How are you?
Very well, Toby. How was your week, Mr. McKinnon?
Not too bad. Busy week, Paul. Trotting and Melton and Bendigo. And are we filming this Sunday or are we filming it Monday? What day are we filming this?
Unfortunately, we're doing this Monday night. For those who watch on a regular time slot, I may have had a touch of crook belly last night. So, yeah, not the greatest.
I was at Charlton today in the hot box upstairs judging the races. So she's pretty hot in the old tin box at Charlton, let me tell you.
It's a little bit narrow too, isn't it? There's no escaping, especially when you've got a guy right alongside of you.
Yeah, she's friendly up there.
Daniel, you had a quiet week. You didn't do a lot of travelling at all, mate.
No, a very quiet day. No, it was a very long weekend. Saturday left Maroopna at 11 o'clock, got down in Warrnambool at 4:30. Called the dog meeting there on Saturday night from 6 till 10, and then woke up and got on the road again at 5 o'clock the next morning to get to Cobram yesterday. So plenty of miles, about 1,100 Ks all up.
Did you have a Kerman's burger?
No, that was mentioned to me on Twitter several times, but unfortunately I did not on this occasion, but I have certainly added to the list of things that I must do.
Someone asked me today whether you had a Kerman's burger when you went to Warrnambool Greyhound, so I thought we'd better clear that up, Paul.
So do you know anything about it, Topes?
Yeah, it's a hamburger shop in Warrnambool, and it is magnificent.
I've got, with my other partner in crime, Troy Harley, we're doing the live stream of the Warrnambool Greyhound Cup coming up shortly, I think, in about another month's time, and I'll put that down on the... I might even have to film myself eating it and bring it back onto the show, boys.
Rub it in.
Well, in that case, I'll go down there tomorrow and have one.
All right, you do that, Topes. Daniel, we might start with you with the Cobram Cup. We can work backwards if you like and go from there. But officially, you had your big meeting yesterday, and I think it was very well received. It sounded good. The crowd noise sounded good. It looked like there was a good crowd on track.
Yeah, we reckon a bit over 300 odd people, spread out across the lawns. And obviously, we've got a fairly big area there, but it was just, racing as we like to have it at Cobram. In terms of crowd and things like that, we don't try and make ourselves out to something that we're not. We're basically a picnic sort of style, picnic gallop sort of meeting sort of thing where people could just spread around the lawn and enjoy the races. And it was a great day. It was bloody hot, but it was still a good day. We were happy with the crowd that came in, and I think everything was well received, and it was a great result. The two races, the two feature races, the two cup races were great contests. Obviously, we had the Trotters Cup first, and that was an interesting race with Have Horse Will Travel for Andy and Case. We'd mentioned in the preview that we posted last week that he had that standing start issue with the number of stands that he had and the form that he had behind the pace, but he absolutely put that to bed within about 15 metres of the race, stepped away brilliantly, and it was all over, essentially. Great run by Well Defined, who I thought was very brave, got really close at the end there, but just couldn't run down the leader. He's a beautiful horse. We took a couple of photos there, and I don't think he would have blew a candle out at the end of the race. So he was extremely fit, and it was a great effort. 2:1.3 the mile right there was pretty handy from the stand and not far off the track record. So that was a great win for Kate and Andy. They've had a big weekend, so we'll get onto their other one soon. But then in the Pacing Cup, probably one of the most interesting races I've seen in a long time. There's a lot of debate, I guess, before the race, and a lot of money for Western Sonador, who then made a mistake at the start, just out of its own accord. I don't think there was anything else. Just galloped for its own accord. And then it was an amazing run by it to run third and get it only beaten, that's less than a metre or so. But the winner was just too good. Perfect Stride just came down the outside and nailed him at the end with Anthony Butt in the cart. It was a thrilling finish. There's only 3 metres between the first 5. It was just a super performance, and Malcolm's Rhythm ran a great race. And it was Western Sonador, to be fair, was probably a tragedy beaten given the circumstances, but the Butts had another win on Cup Day at Cobram, and good to see.
He hasn't done too bad, Tobes. I actually got both races in at the right time. he kept going, but it's a fighting finish. The boys can't actually see the video footage here of where we're up to, but the first 5, there's only about a length separating those, and even the 6th horse is just a length and a half back, which is terrific for that style of cup. And it was on for young and old, I must say. So, and it was a very, very good finish, as you said, taken out there by the Butts. Tobes, before you ask Daniel any questions about Cobram, I want to give you guys a big pat on the back. Watching on Trot's Vision, the backdrop that you have there with the horse and that, I think other clubs could possibly learn from that. Like we do a lot of them on tracks, but it gets a little bit hard to hear. And if you could have a designated area where you can be away from water trucks, and that makes it a little bit easier to do those presentations, I think. And I think it's a lovely setting, and it makes for good viewing, if you like. I'm not sure about your shorts, mate. I think the white on the legs, I had to put the sunnies on every now and then, but other than that, it was all right.
Yeah, that did get mentioned a couple of times, but there was absolutely no way I was wearing pants because it was that hot. The shirt sort of was a bit was nice and loose because it was there was just no air getting through anywhere. No. But yeah, that horse and presentation area was put in probably 12, 13 years ago. At the time, it was sort of a bit of an expense that was sort of seen as was sort of frowned upon, I think, but. Look, it's a great sculpture. If you actually go and have a look at it, it is well put together, and it just complements that presentation area there. It's a beautiful spot in front of the judges' box, and we made full use of that yesterday. And it was a great day on Trot's Vision. We had plenty of support from the trainers and drivers there, and we mixed it up a bit with interviewing a few trainers. So it was a great day yesterday.
Tobes?
Yeah, I just like to add that I was thinking of Mark Watson yesterday and Bob Watson, who passed away last year, the first Cup at Cobram in so many years that they hadn't been involved in. And, just thinking of Bob and Marg at this time as well. And just secondly, bit of a cheap shot about Daniel's white legs, because I know the Tullamarine did get in touch with Bendigo and asked to put a cap on your head, Paul, because as the planes were going overhead, they were wondering what the light was beaming up out of Bendigo, but it was just a reflection of your scone Saturday night. Fair dinkum.
Me and your partner...
Kettle calling the pop black.
Me and your partner in crime. At least I had sunscreen on. Wait till you get in there on Wednesday, I reckon he'll be beaming like a beetroot. Jason Bonington had no sunscreen on. He was feeling it too. So, well... Good segue.
Just on that, I was just going to say quickly, Marg and Bruce were both there on the track yesterday to present the trophies, and they really enjoyed the day. I know it was probably a tough day for them, but it was good to see them at the Trot.
Yep, definitely. They had lunch with Dale Monteith too. I heard in her cup speech. She was, interesting day. Tobes, Bendigo Cup, good to get the crowds back, good to get some people dressed up. Actually, the one thing myself and Jason Bonington were alluding to, there was plenty of people dressed up nice and tidy, which is really, really good. I think it's exciting, maybe not this year, 2021, but once we get out of COVID-19, I think it's the right time to be racing and starting off these big meetings, I think.
Yeah, Paul, massive kick to Eric Hendricks and Tim, I don't know Tim's surname.
Ralph. Tim Ralph.
Man. Tim Ralph, he's his right-hand man. I was judging, of course, but I do have a close acquaintance who was dining in the dining room, and I went up to say hello to them, actually, just as the meals were served, and the meals were absolutely spectacular. Wonderful feedback about how they served the meals. Dining room was just a buzz. There was that atmosphere in the dining room. It was COVID to their COVID maximum, So it wasn't full, the dining room, by any chance. It was just great to see the Tom Hogans and the John Andersons and people back at the trots. And you couldn't take 4 steps without bumping into someone you hadn't seen for a while. And it was just absolutely fantastic, that atmosphere. And the club, massive tick to the club. It was a great result, and everyone had a wonderful night, I believe.
Yeah, I think that too, and I think there was a good spread of different people. Nikita Ross, and they were there. Tori was there as well. You had your dignitaries, Duncan McPherson, obviously.
The swimmer.
Yeah. No,
Duncan is a swimmer.
You'd be surprised. Whenever I call him that, most people don't know who he is, Tobe, so thank you very much for knowing who I'm talking about. But no, there was a good spread of people, and then there was the people that have always, like when I have my committee hat on, a lot of the loyal people as well, Lloydie and that were there, that have always come to the club, and they were there as well. I believe Kieran Isles may have been up in the hobnobbing it. Couldn't force himself to come down and say hello, I believe. So I'll just give him a little drive by as we go. Tobes, the Bendigo Cup, it was a ripping race. It actually, probably a little bit different to the Cobram Cup, looked a little bit boring if you're watching it, but Darby McGuigan in front set a good speed. He had to, just so that there was no one come around and attack him, and it was a really, really good finish. They were coming from everywhere, at the last 200 metres, weren't they?
Oh, it's a funny thing to say, because Darby ran 5th on 40 Thieves, beaten 4 metres, but it was as good a front-running drive as you could get, because you look back at Jason Lee last year with Code Bailey, he ran them along in front, he just ran them off their legs, and I think Darby tried to sort of replicate that but couldn't quite, and in the end it was up to the swoopers that came swooping down the outside, and Wolf Stride, Anthony Butt said this horse will be a Grand Circuit horse, and I reckon he hasn't even got him anywhere near his max yet. He's really taking his time with this horse, and I think in 12 months' time he's going to be up in our top 3 or 4 horses in Australia. It was a big win, but as you pointed out on the night, Paul, that all the winners were coming from behind, except for the 3 that led and won on the night. In fairness
to us, before you go for 33%.
In fairness.
There was only 2 winners had come from in front at that stage. The third one came after the last, which we said the comment before the last.
After the last.
Or the last race. So we'd actually made the comment by that stage. One was a 1,000-metre race, and we'll get to that one in a sec. And then, we forgot the claimer, Struve, which was, you talk about great front-running drives, Jason Lee on that one as well. But getting back to the Cup, Tobes, I reckon a sign of, especially when a class race like that where you're setting a good speed, is exactly what you said. He was on a $17 pop. He's got beat a length. No one come around. He set the speed himself. No one was actually moving around to put more speed into the race. They were happy with the speed to the extent, I think everyone said, we've got to start getting into this race, and they all made their moves at the same time. 4 big men pulled out of the 1-1 to go to round because Kate's wondering where she's going to settle in.
You know, I equated the lead time back, Paul, to a quarter rate, and it would have been 29.7. The first quarter was 29.6. So he ran that first 1,500 metres at that same rate the whole way, Darby, at what speed he would have thought was a cruising speed for 40 Thieves. Then he went 28.8, 28.28. So he's rated the horse really well, and it made it a great race, really. Oh, for sure. And it does. And it just, aesthetically, it looks boring until you get to that last 400 metres, and because he set such an even race, that's why they're coming from everywhere. That's what people say, leaders tracks and behind leaders tracks and everything else like that. It's tempo related, and that was perfect tempo, and that's why they could come from anywhere. But some of the great swimming races that Duncan Armstrong were in, Paul, over the 1,500 metres, the first 1,400 metres of that swimming race, not a lot happens really, does it? It's the last 100 where it gets exciting. You just ask Duncan. Do you know Duncan's claim to fame, Daniel? They were back before the ropes.
No, I don't.
The ropes didn't stop the waves coming through, so he actually did exactly what Toby said. He rode on the wave of the favourite and basically waveboarded the whole way. I think it was 800 metres, was it, Tobes? I can't remember exactly the distance.
It was a 200, wasn't it?
No. It was.
He was in the 4x200.
Yeah, I think it was 400 metres. Don't know, but anyway, that was his claim to fame. He surfed the wave. That's how they won the race. Him and Laurie Lawrence hatched a plan, and that's how they actually won the race. So I'll take that. We'll get off him now because I tell you his name's going to come up. Talking of Duncan McPherson, I think he would be absolutely wrapped with the Aldebaran Park Maori Mile, Tobes. Probably wobbly galloping robbed it a little bit. Scratchings robbed it again a little bit as well, but to have.
He didn't gallop, Paul. He just refused to score up.
Okay, to have 5 horses finishing like this, and the fifth horse in this race was very, very unlucky. In Ango's horse, his name just left me all of a sudden, but he actually is unlucky as well. Sundown's Courage. He's going to win a nice race very shortly because the last 2 runs he's really savaged the line, and again tonight, like the other night, he runs out of rumours again. Topes.
Yeah, they're such an even lot, really, aren't they? McLovin, he's a funny horse, McLovin. Nearly something like 28 of his 30 times he's won a race, he's won the one before, you know. Like, he doesn't just win one in a row.
No.
He seems to win 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. When he hits form, he really hits form, and he's in form at the moment. And when he's in McLovin mode, not McKerman's hamburger mode, Paul, McLovin mode, he's almost unstoppable.
When he walked into the parade ring, I sort of went, wow, and Kirsten was alongside me. Jason was actually talking to someone at the time, and she said the same thing. He's just sensational, and he seems that once he gets in that zone, he just gets better and better and goes from there. Isn't it ironic that his brother won the next day, the Cobram Trotters Cup, and like they both look the same style of horse. They got this simple action about them, and they seem to float over the ground. They don't seem any airs and graces. Both of those horses could be racing with each other very shortly because the other bloke that won the Cobram Cup, he's just as impressive a horse, I reckon, as what McLovin is. Any other stable had McLovin, Tobes. Like if a Ross Graham had McLovin, or someone else had McLovin, he'd be their superstar and he'd be touted. But because he's in with Andy and Kate, and they've got Majestuoso and Tornado Valley and heaps of others, he sort of just flies under that radar unfairly for the horse. But I reckon the camp would probably enjoy it.
Yeah, I do agree with you a bit. If he was with someone else unique, yeah, he would be touted as a superstar. But he mightn't be Andy's best trotter. He might be Andy's 3rd best trotter, and he's just won our best race if he can work that out. But I think the plan with the other one at Cobram, Paul, is it'll be going all around the state. Have horse will travel.
Taking the Wilburys with it or not?
Yes, the Wilburys can go with it, and he'll pick up all the country cups. I reckon he's going to be a country cups maestro.
Yeah,
well, he's nominated for the George Gass, so they've got 3 in the George Gass on Saturday at Shep. So it'll be interesting to see when they all get together how it all plays out.
Was it last year that Andy won the George Gaff? And I know whenever it was, I know he said that it meant a lot. Yeah, it meant a lot to him when he won it. So yeah, he'd be targeting it.
And that run that night by McLovin was absolutely exactly. So he was never going to win that race until the very last stride, and he just poked his big head out and got on and hit the front right in front of the post. And it was incredible because he just didn't seem to be on at that stage. He knew where the line was, and pretty much since then he's been very, very consistent.
He's done well to know where the line is at Shepparton because no one else does. And I reckon it was Sundon's Courage. I reckon it was Sundon's Courage was the horse.
Correct, it was. It was. Yep.
And he's putting the writing on the wall again this week. While we're talking about the Cups, anyone out there, Hamilton Cup is on Sunday, Shepparton Cup's on Saturday night, Ballarat Cup's a week after. Go to their websites. Make sure you go to the websites and find out how you can attend these venues and meetings. I think Shepparton's pretty straightforward if you go there. Hamilton asked me, the guys, Tobes, I haven't got the gentleman's name, you'd know the guy's name, but he asked me to give it a big push that people go to the website and make sure you follow all the COVID protocols. They want as many people as there as they can, but if you don't follow the protocols, you won't be getting in. And I know Ballarat, I just saw a post on Ballarat's just before that pretty much, there's no general admission on the day to get to Ballarat either. So you need to secure those tickets leading up to it, which is, it's important that they do this.
I think it's very important for people check because even then, there's general admission, I reckon, is welcome at Hamilton, but it's not at Ballarat. So every club, because of the intricacies of how club layouts are, different clubs have to do things differently. So some places you have to pre-book, others you don't. So really, just check with your club before you go. If you're thinking about going, you're not sure you can, again, just check with your club before you go. So, and then into February as well, even if you're thinking about doing something in February at the Ararat Cup, which is maybe February 9, 10, whatever weekend around there, and then Terang the week after, just check with those clubs and get out there and support them because the clubs have had a pretty tough 12 months like a lot of businesses.
And the other thing, and I don't know how it went yesterday, Daniel, for you guys at Cobram, but at Bendigo, there was a little bit of a lineup, so just be aware that it's not a matter of just walking to the gates and walking straight through. Give yourself that extra 5-10 minutes, but Bendigo wasn't too bad. I must say there was a lot of people handing out, because I prepaid tickets. You basically had all your forms there; they were done, ready to go. So, but there was still a queue. So make sure you just allow that little bit extra time. We want everyone at the tracks, and we want everyone to be able to enjoy themselves. That's the number one part of the game. True. Okay, the boys have.
We didn't have any trouble at Cobram. It was really, we had the QR codes and everything like that to sign in, and the wristbands, and we were pretty strict with the access to particularly the horse yards, the stabling areas, bands and everything like that. So I think there was a couple of statistic drivers that were sort of a bit narky at times, but we were doing our job and making sure that everyone was safe. So it's an important thing, and you've just got to do it. So if you are going to go to the races, just make sure you do everything that you need to do before you get there.
Just on that too, I know some of the drivers think they don't have to wear a wristband. They think, oh, people should know who I am. Put the bloody wristband on. Then everyone knows you're here. It's COVID safe. It's a wristband. It's not.
That was it. Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. I don't know who they think they are. They think they're better than the next person because they don't have to wear a wristband. Fair income, guys. Just put it on. It's so much easier, and everyone will be happier. Then everyone knows where everyone should be, so it's not hard. Tobes, we had a little bit of correspondence the other day, so I'm going to throw. You're actually going to ask Daniel a question, I believe. So I'll throw to you, mate.
Oh yeah, just Philip Crack. Which is quite a humorous name, Paul, I must admit. And I'm sure he's had a few jabs about that over his life. Phil Crack. He put a note on about wondering if Terry Hibberd was Daniel's father, and Daniel denies that he's his father. He said he was involved at Southern Speedways. I've made some inquiries with some people down at Southern Speedways, but no one can track him down. So if Philip can let us know who he was associated with or what horse he was associated with and give me a bit more to go on, and I'll see if I can track him down for him. And that's the kind of service you get when you comment on Loose Lines.
Absolutely, and we appreciate his feedback, even though he's unstructured, rough and ready show. Better than what you were saying that he actually may have said, Tobes. Phil?
You, Paul, you're the coordinator and the host. He's having a crack at you there.
I have no worries.
He's having a real Phil Crack.
I have no problems with that, Phil. We can get a little bit more structured, I suppose, is easier if the three of us were in the one place at one time. It'd be so much easier to do this show than the slight delay I have to wait for the boys and all the rest. But I appreciate your words and love the fact that you're in Perth watching us. We really appreciate your feedback. There's no problems there at all. Now, Tobes, you've got some correspondence, I believe, as well.
Yes, I had some correspondence given to me at the Trots the other day, Paul. So I'll just read it out. It was in the form of a letter, and it did come with a image as well. So it says, "Dear Walking Eyebrow," which is a bit of a bad start if you ask me. I'm not sure about the walking eyebrow, but that's what he said. "I've watched On Loose Lines since your first episode and all that. I think the show is great and funny and all that. On the show, you've said you want some correspondence and all that. So I thought I'd drop you a note and all that. I've also sent through a lookalike of Paul and all that. From DM from Monagita."
Oh,
and here's his lookalike, Paul. That is who he says you look like. And Natie's gone with the radio. Have a look at it. He's even got the radio. He's done some work, this DM.
DM will pay the king of the worst. The king of the worst hats you've ever seen in your life. Oh, I can't wait to get him back. We might even get him on the show. Tobes, you'll be happy to know that Sue from Blacktown actually sent in another one as well the other day. And I reckon when you get to see this, because the beauty of this show is that Tobes actually can't see what I'm seeing, so he's going to have to watch back through. Yeah, you can do that as much as you like. Mine's a full screen, Tobes. You got no chance. But I must say, Sue from Blacktown, I love your feedback, and this is one of your best ones. I must say, I can definitely see a resemblance. And Tobes, when you're watching that, just scroll back a little bit, mate. It actually froze on you just before. We got a close up of your eyebrows too while you were giggling. So people will be having nightmares.
Who's the lookalike, Paul?
You'll see when you watch it. It's much more fun this way, I reckon. Everyone else has seen it. You just haven't. Daniel, we had a rabbit on a track at Ballarat the other night.
Yes, I watched this and it was quite... I actually watched the whole race and I reckon I saw it in the infield the lap before and then it's ended up on the outside fence. I've clocked it running a quarter in 26, so it's obviously going all right. But not sure where it's ended up. You've got to watch it to sort of see it. It's obviously trying to get off the track, but just can't. And it's a very very funny to see. So you don't Lockie doesn't mention anything in the call, but it's certainly there.
To make it,
is it true, Daniel? When you spoke to the rabbit said it's all Paul's last drive, and that's where it thought it had to go, out 8 wide with no one near it.
Scraping the outside fence.
David Magri. So I've actually I've doctored that video up just a little bit, and so people can actually see the close up of it. But poor old Dave Magri's trotter there, it was out the back. He was having trouble getting past that rabbit. That rabbit was going pretty quick, I reckon. It was going along at a good clip. There's no worries there. I'll actually show it again. But yeah, so it must be a different sensation, especially for the guys. Like if they saw it, Jack Sullivan out in front. It must sort of just be a little bit off-putting watching this rabbit keep up with them out wide too. So yeah, we
It does a good job.
Oh, it does a huge job.
It's only a little thing too. It's not as if it's a full-grown one. It looks like it's a very young one too. So it's probably a 2-year-old in work.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just alongside Dave Magri's horse right there as we speak. And, anyway, he did a good job. Must say, and it's not on the notables, boys, did you notice the winners at that Ballarat meeting, in Michael's Me Name being one of those? I should have got them all up. There was three 10-year-olds, one on the program, an 8-year-old. The horse that won the first race had a year and a half off the racetrack. It was just one of those...
here we go.
Welcome back nights.
Wonderful training performance after a year and a half off the track.
It was a year and a half off the track. I will, and I'll tell you who it was actually too when I find the page. But I just found that pretty, like harness racing horses are very, very, very diverse. What night was that? Wednesday night. It's very diverse, and I think it's we undersell ourselves a little bit. But actually, the first one, it was Budding Baron for William Tatnell. I don't know William at all, but he was the one for a year and a half. Then we had a 4-year-old win and then a 3-year-old win with Rogue Gentleman. Then after that, they just came in at all ages. Ferocious Sun for Basil Dooley was a 10-year-old. Our Georgina Rose for Chris Lang was the 8-year-old. Michael's Me Name for Jack Sullivan was another 10-year-old. Silver Patrol... don't have its age there. Where's its age gone? No, it's a 10-year-old. River Patrol, was a 10. Yeah, River Patrol was a 10-year-old as well. So I just think it's great and how evergreen the harness racing horse can be.
They can still run at the, and perform at that sort of level if they're if they've had no issues with their legs and things like that. They can certainly still run until they're 10 or 11 or 12 and that sort of thing. And it's no surprise to see them. Still love to be out there on the track, and I guess it is very unique to see a race card where you've got several of those aged horses actually winning on the one night.
I nearly got rid of Toby. Wouldn't that have been a shame? Boys, what are we up to? I just lost my train of thought. Toby, notables. You just got to keep doing... Tobes, you can keep doing that. I just keep doing this. I know who's going to win the argument. Mine's a lot better. I'll give DM the heads up. He want to tune in next week. That's for sure. Don't you worry about that. Toby, your notable for the week. First of our notables for the week is Darby and Timmy McGuigan. Yeah,
correct. They got the winner at Maryborough with Arnie Ethel. Darby was a bit crook that day. He suffered from a bit of a migraine, so he didn't take the drive. But it had 11 starts without a win and without even a placing. Greg Sugars jumps on board and wins, which might have made it a bit of a long trip together on Swan Hill going to the trots with Tim sort of questioning Darby's ability. But then they came out and partnered up to win the first 2 races at Swan Hill, and later in the night they had 2 more, and they both ran back in the field, the other 2. So Tim McGuigan got up on Wednesday morning and he walked out and he said to Darby, "I am the number 1 trainer in Victoria. 3 wins from 5 runners."
Good luck to him. He can keep saying that.
They've only got 5 racehorses in work, Paul. They all ran within 2 days, and 3 of them won. So it's a pretty good effort, really. So they're going well. It's a tough gig for Darby McGuigan at the moment. He's outdriven his country claim. He had 1 drive at Melton, he had 1 drive at Bendigo, and he had 1 drive at Cobram. So he's really working hard at the moment to try and cling to for being a professional driver. So I just wanted to give him a real big pump up on this show, Darby.
I think the industry needs to be aware of these things too, though, Tobes, because we can't afford kids like Darby to be leaving the game. And it's not just Darby. There's plenty of others that leave the game all the time. That's one of the things Campbell's comments is trying to do, is just keep promoting how good some of these people are, and try and keep them in the sport for as long as it can, because the longer we keep them in the sport, the better the sport is for it. So I think that's the best way to go. The sport is better, Daniel, for this young lady. She's really starting to draw, not just some winners. Taylor French, LA Tobes, just so you're aware of it. Taylor French, lovely treble, her first treble at Cranbourne the other day, and 2 of them were trained by her dad, so I think that's even more fitting as well.
Yeah, and they're all a decent price as well, so it wasn't as if she was driving, short price favourites or anything like that. Hard Rock Shannon won the first one for her. It was the first win since July, so it's been out of the winner's circle for a while, but got the cash. They only went 3.1, but they don't pay on time most of the time unless you're in the Mercury 80. But it went good to win. Joey's Hangover. This horse has been pretty consistent for the last sort of 6 months, I suppose. He rarely runs a bad race. He'll often finish, midfield sort of thing, but it's not as if he ends up, tailed off or anything like that. It was his first win since September, and his 10th win overall. And he's a nice horse. He's a good bread and butter horse, and the stable obviously love him to bits because he's a good earner for them, and it was good to see him win again. And then the third one for John McDermott, Our Beach Somewhere, was a terribly good performance. 156.7 over the mile there at Cranbourne. You don't sort of go too much quicker than that. It's not really renowned as a blistering track, Cranbourne. But it was able to win its 4th win from 20 starts out of the brilliant mare Mother Courage. So it was good to see that horse win again. And if you'd had a lazy $5 on the all up, it could have just under $7,000.
Oh. Tell you what, Paul, you should stick her on front of a Trump Friday night.
She's on, mate. Don't you worry about that. So it's all good. I got in there already. Don't you worry about that. We did nominate Michelle Phillips on out of respect, because Michelle drove him once and did nothing wrong, but she obviously serving a suspension at the minute. So Taylor's happy to take the drive. I think she's alluded she's a bit nervous. I can promise her there is no need to be nervous. Before I go to the next one, how quick do you reckon that rabbit would have gone down the back straight at Cranbourne? Because it's downhill. They wouldn't have seen it. It would have outrun them.
25.9.
They wouldn't have been.
But wouldn't it be relative to the horses because they're running downhill too?
Yeah, but it still would have gone quicker than what it did at Ballarat. So I'm just saying, just overall, it only had to go 400 metres. So now, Tobes, McCallum Standardbreds.
Yeah, now, Paul, this one, no jokes on this one, mate. This is a mate of mine, Steve McCallum, who 4 years ago got struck down with cancer and he passed away at age 27. He trained a few horses at the time and he was breeding a few. He trained one for me with his best mate, Danielle Lewis, who also passed away. So it was a pretty rough time there at Yarra Valley over a period. And the last 2 horses he bred, His Dream Lives On, won at Maryborough last week, and Mum Mucko won at Trotting. It was just, Steve was a wonderful young bloke, and he was captain of his local cricket club. He was vice president of his local cricket club. He coached the juniors there as a leader of people. His father's taken over the breeding side of what Steve started. and the name His Dream Lives On is very fitting. And Emmett Brosnan drove his horses for him, and he's trained them since, Emmett. And as you can tell, you can hear probably from the quiver in my voice how much it means to me to see those horses winning races. And it was actually yesterday, 4 years ago, when he passed away. So I think our sport's a wonderful sport, and it's just great to remember him still and have all those fond memories and some of the good times we had together.
Hear. I don't think we need to say too much more to that, mate. I think a lot more people will be aware of it, and they'll be probably cheering for His Dream Lives On next time they see him in the races as well. Daniel, another double for how'd I go? Jess Tubbs and Greg Sugars from the Lara J Farm at Bendigo. They just keep training winners left, right and centre.
Yeah, they do. Miller Joy and Jawbreaker, they've both gone sensational time. Miller Joy went 153.2 and Jawbreaker 152.8. But the thing that probably needs mentioning out of both of those drives, I know Greg mentioned, I think he did mention it on the night at one point, that he, and he's mentioned it several times as well about his, his love of Gavin Lang and how he used to drive and how Gavin had given him advice and things like that. If you watch those two races on Saturday night, you would dead set swear it was Gavin Lang driving. If they were absolutely, absolute copies of drives that you would have seen Gavin hundreds of times over the years. His drive on Miller Joy, I thought, was superb in the sense of his timing. He probably had an opportunity to get going maybe 30 or 40 metres earlier than he did, but he waited till he got, waited a little bit longer just so that there was enough. The horse was balanced, and then he got stuck into and he was able to get up on the line and win. And I just thought that both of those efforts on Saturday night just sort of goes to show that having Gavin as a mentor has certainly paid off for Greg. And I mean, he's just driving superbly at the moment. It's quite crazy that he's winning nearly every third or fourth race that you watch. It's just unbelievable. No,
he is indeed. He's doing a great job. They both are. It was good to see Jess actually at Bendigo the other night too. I haven't seen her make her way down to Bendigo for a little while. Tobes, Norm McVitie, mate. Interesting name of a horse, actually, too, isn't it? Fun on the Rum. Wouldn't want to be a race caller sometimes, I know that.
Fun on the Rum, yeah. It's by Bacardi Lindy, so that makes sense.
Yep.
Had its first start at Melton on Friday night, and I know it was a country front meeting, so it wasn't quite a Melton, but that's a discussion for another day, but whether they should be called Melton or Melbourne when they're metros. Former butcher, Norm McVitie, I think he's retired now. He's been a great trainer. He's only ever had one or two horses, Paul. And if you go back through, if he's only ever trained one or two horses, they've always been at the races and winning. Remember Honourable Air? Yep. He was a good Moonee Valley horse, real good country cup horse. Used to run around against Barrel Boy all the time. There, I got him in again. He's had good horses like Our Oliver recently, one on Redwood Day with Magic Owens as well. 84 wins across his lifetime, Norm McVitie. 45 of them came in the 90s, and it just sounded in the interview afterwards that he might take his 1 or 2 to 5 or 6 and have a little bit of a crack in retirement, which would be great to see. As I think he must be a pretty skilled horseman because he's got a great strike rate.
There's a little segue I was going to come to in a bit later on, but when I was a kid, he only ever took a couple to the races, but when they did, they generally won. I know Tony Dillon had a pretty good association with him. I'm going a long way back, but he always was pretty staunch with his horses. When those colours rocked up, you knew they were fair dinkum as a rule. And just on that, Tobes, I'll keep with you. It's not on our run shape, but Mark Hayes as well, driving that horse. The evergreen Mark Hayes. I said there before about how there was 3 10-year-olds and an 8-year-old won at Ballarat. We probably should have put Mark Hayes into the category as well, but he's done a great job.
Easy.
And for the season, he's had only the 3 drives for 2 wins. We talk about strike rates. He would have had a cracking strike rate as well.
Yeah, the great man Mark Hayes. When I grew up in the Yarra Valley, Paul, Mark Hayes was this mythical being. If you had a rogue horse that you couldn't educate, you used to send it to this Mark Hayes, this mythical person, Mark Hayes. They used to go away as a rogue, and they came back the horses, and they said please and thank you when you fed him. He was just you just remember. Oh, it's mad, this thing. I'll send it to Mark Hayes. But he's been a wonderful man over so many years, and he'd be embarrassed hearing me say something like that. And he's got a great affiliation with Emilio Rosati now, breaking in a lot of his horses. He wouldn't know him by name. He just treats them all the same, Mark Hayes, and just a pure gentleman of the sport.
He made you say about Emilio, he made a real name for himself doing the Lombardo horses as well there for a long time as well, Mick Lombardo's horses as well. So, but the evergreen Mark Hayes, and I would imagine him and Norma have had quite a few winners over the journey. It was interesting, did you hear Trot's Vision? I forget, someone drove it at the trials. I think Mick Bellman drove it the first time at the trials, and then Hazy got on it the second time, and Norm goes, you can keep driving it, and he rocks up with a winner at Melton's. Mickey Bellman had to go to the races and missed out, but Hazy says thank you very much and kept it going. There was no hassles there at all. This guy's not an evergreen by any stretch, but we constantly are talking about him, Daniel Hibberd, James Herbertson, and another double at Bendigo.
Yeah, very good performance there on Saturday night. Won the first with I'm a Shadow Boxer. You'd think that he was a bit lucky, I guess, with a little bit luck when he's way, but you've got to have that sometimes when Major Jody was on his outside. He sort of stayed in the 1-1 and then it galloped on his outside and it was able to get in the clear and then was able to run down Kerrod in the last few hops. So that horse is going really nicely, though. It's very consistent, especially over the last 6 or 7 runs, so no surprise to see it get the cash. And then he partnered Franco Jolto in the first heat of the Mercury 80. They ran a half in 54.8, which is flashing going. Yorkshire just failing to grab him on the line. And they did actually break the 80 seconds. They went 77 seconds, but unfortunately they only went 1,150 metres, so not quite the 1,200 of the final at Melton.
Some fancy footwork in the judges' box too, Paul, because the timing system isn't set up for a 1,200-metre race, so things have to be done a little bit differently. So we earn our money on that one.
Is this show
first time ever, probably?
Is this show all about me, or what's the story here?
No, that's Steve Hardy's the timekeeper, so he was the one doing the fancy footwork.
I will say on that drive, and I don't know how much you guys actually looked at it or whatever, but it was a smick drive by James Herbertson because he washed the speed off just going past the winner post going into that bend when no one was going to attack him, knowing full well that down the back straight he was going to be rocking and rolling. He gave himself a 100-metre breather in an 1,100-metre race, and that was the telling part. It really told.
Yeah, spot on, Paul. And it's funny to say that, isn't it? He only got a 100-metre breather, but that was just enough, wasn't it? Just to get him over the line. Otherwise, Yorkshire probably runs him down, like Dan says.
Or if he grabbed hold too much, Maestro Bellini would have been around and attacking him, whereas instead he just gave it enough that Maestro Bellini couldn't get out and get around either. So, yeah, it was a really, really smart drive. And that's well done to Mitch Barker as well for that one. I'm going to set a camera up. I've never seen a man cuddle himself so much while the race is on. Everyone has their nervous traits, Tobes. I was watching, I had Mitch down below me and Keema alongside of me, and to say that it was entertaining is an understatement. I need to get more cameras out there to capture what they do, but well done to Mitch. And there's another one, we haven't got him as a notable either. He's doing a great job this year as well at the Barker stable, so yeah, it's all good. You're worried about the cuddling part, aren't you, Tobes?
Bit creepy having cameras on people when they don't realise, but you do whatever suits you, Paul. You do whatever.
Mate, that's how Campbell's comments has come apart. Don't you worry about that. Oh, you want to play that game, do you, Tobes? Here we go. We'll just go with that one there as well. Don't you worry. You're going to hate watching this back, don't you worry at all. I'm going to give a shout out to the Ainsworths. Again, start of the season, small stable. Nomad's been around for a little while and the likes, but to get a winner at Swan Hill, and then Nomaska, which is one of the more interesting names, winning the trot as well on that last Friday night. And I know it was only a country meeting, but I think they're doing a good job with a small team of horses as well. That's what this show's about, is trying to promote smaller people, not necessarily smaller people, but everything that happens. We'll look after the big people, but just try and find things a little bit left of centre and all the rest.
Well, next week we'll have to have Shannon O'Sullivan and Tony Zerier on.
Why is that? Oh, short people.
Well, we're looking after the smaller people. Come on.
I think Jody's...
I tell you what, Paul.
Jody's smaller than Shannon.
Tony's area drove one of the best races you'll ever see today. Didn't win the horse. He's got out from gate 6 and landed on the leader's back, and it's run second, beaten a couple of metres. As good a drive as you'll see by the X-Man. Serious.
No wonder Phil says we're unstructured. Where was that on the run sheet? What was the name of the horse, Tobes? Prim's Luck? No?
Yeah, I'll find it. Nah, it ran second, so it can't be too hard to find. Prim's Luck.
I just said that, and you said no.
I wasn't listening to you. I never do. You should know that.
It's another trotter from New Zealand, actually, that one, that's for sure. Daniel, another lady we've spoken about a little bit on this show, and I think we'll continue to be talking about her. Juanita Breen, another double at Cobram. A double, but at Cobram.
A double, yeah. It was a great effort there yesterday. Yarrawonga Lassie won the first league for it. Was able to. It took advantage of. I guess the pole horse was scratched since she came into barrier 1, and it was a ridiculously short quote. I think it was at one point it was about 3s on in the market, which seemed very short in that particular race. But she was able to lead, and she dictated terms beautifully. Ran an easy middle half, and then was able to kick lead. During the interview, she sort of said that it had been going really well, and it was just needed a bit of luck, and that's what they got. And then the second winner, Louisiana Jones, she mentioned in the interview that she thought she was a huge chance of winning. Obviously, no one was watching because the price drifted out to about $7 on the tote, and it ended up leading and winning and doing it easy. But if you had listened and got on, she didn't declare it or anything like that, but she was very confident that she could win that race. And as I mentioned a couple of times, I really have a high opinion of that mare. I think she's a really lovely mare. She's going to earn a lot of prize money for the stable, win quite a number of races. And, it was good to see her put in a performance like that yesterday. Really, 1:55.8 was the time, which was really quick, and that was probably also part of the day up there at Cobram. The track was in lightning fast condition, hardly any dust, and it was that was great to see, and it was well done to Juanita. She won the Driver of the Day award as well. She got a nice little bottle of champers and some glass flutes as well. So she had a good day.
Aaron, Juanita's partner, put on Twitter too. They had a trotter in the last on Friday night. I think started favourite and possibly on paper looked a little bit disappointing, but it came back with mucus and that. And I think well done to them the way they embrace social media. They got on there and just didn't say it was an excuse, but they just said for what it's worth, that was there. And I think well done to those guys too. They're very proactive on a lot of things. The last one,
and had a flat tyre to start before, so it's not having much luck, that horse. But for the punters going forward, you just need to note those things down because it'll improve next start a little bit of value, Paul. Yeah,
that flat tyre was cruel because that wasn't a flat tyre. That wasn't a flat tyre. That was
it was off the rim.
It was completely an anchor. So, but anyway, we'll keep going. The last one, Tobes, up is Damien Burns. Quinellering the first 2-year-old. Now, I've put this one up for myself. Firstly, well done. Another small stable that does a great job. I used the fluoro green on the riding. Damien might get excited. He might think that's about his helmet or whatever. But back in the day, Tobes, you talk about Norm McVitie and the likes, Mark Hayes and those guys. I remember I worked for Merv Dillon, Ian McKellen. There used to be a lot of rivalry to try and win the first 2-year-old of the year and a lot of prestige. It used to be raced Kilmore Cup Day and the likes. Then Peter Manning. Even before Kilmore Cup Day, was it, Tobes? What won?
There was always one the week before Kilmore Cup, Paul.
Maybe, yeah. Okay, and then Peter Manning came along, the king of the kids. So he came along and took that mantle, and it was always prestigious to try and do that. I think it's probably fallen away a little bit by the wayside because the 2-year-olds got put back later and later, and they lost that Christmas time racing, and Leeton fell over because it was always at a bad time slot. Now, the way the new season is and all the rest, I wouldn't be surprised there'll be a lot more people trying to win the first couple of 2-year-olds and say they're the king of the kids. To Quinella it, well done. I reckon that's a huge effort. So well done to Damien Burns, but I'm looking forward to something in the future of more and more people targeting these early 2-year-old races.
And I agree, and I think we've got to promote it better, Paul. I think with all the 3-year-olds now that aren't racing because they've just gone through Vicbred. We need as many 2-year-olds racing as possible to keep the race fields up for this month. I think HRV should come out and say, we're going to run 2-year-old races for the whole month, whether there's 3, 4 or 5 in them. We don't care. If we've programmed them, we're going to run them. So just get your 2-year-olds ready. And people that have got one that might only be, okay, well, run it in January and get an early win with it.
Yep. But off that as well, let's try and get Leeton up and going back to how it was back in the halcyon days where everyone used to make the big trip. I think Peter Manning ended up with 3 or 4 floats from that time. But just try and build back up. They've got a full year now of racing. They're not babies like they were back then. They're they're 2.5-year-old. They're well developed, and I reckon it's all exciting for the future and opens up a lot more doors, if you like, going forward. So that's for sure. My run sheet's shut down. I'm just trying to work out where we are up to. Well, actually, we're almost at the end. Tobes, discussion points. You have a discussion point that you wanted to bring up. Daniel hasn't alluded to his, so I'm not sure where he's going with his, but your discussion point, Tobes?
I wanted to sort of give some outrageous season predictions, so I've got 3.
Well, hang on then, because I haven't done any either, and neither has Daniel, so why don't we sit on them until next week? Or do you want to do yours now and you want us to think?
I'll do mine now. My 3 are: Taylor French will drive 150 winners for the year, which is, I'm going with outrageous, I know, but I have a sense she fits the mould for Emma Stewart. She's a lightweight. She's a good driver. She's got a 5-point claim. If Emma Stewart starts sticking her on a whole heap of her horses, she could drive a lot of winners this year, Paul. Remember Kima Frenning? She drove 120 winners last season. So there's a lot of wins there to be had, and I reckon Taylor could be the person that Emma grabs hold of. So I've gone with her for 150. Lockie Cook from down Terang Way for 50 winners for the year. He would have only driven in 10 races probably. I reckon he is an absolute superstar.
3 or 4 winners so far.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have many drives.
No, I know. No, I'm going the other way.
At least 3.
Yeah, I think he's had 4, but yeah. And your last one?
And my horse is tick-tock to win the Oaks and Derby double for Michael Bellman. I saw it as a 2-year-old. It had huge motor, Paul. It then went through a growth spurt and just started trotting a bit funny. He's tipped it out for a spell, and it's my random horse to win the Oaks Derby double. And you might say I'm crazy, but if I had said Pink Galahs at this time last year, you would have said I was crazy as well. And I probably am crazy, so you're probably right.
I think Taylor's probably a little bit high on the expectations, but 100 may be capable of. But 150 is a big ask because Emma doesn't.
He did say outrageous.
He did, yeah. If he had said that, it says discussion points, and then that's what he's came up with. If he wanted us to come up with them, I possibly would have done a bit of homework. And looking at the smirk on your face, Hibberd, I don't think you've done too much homework on it either. So.
No, I didn't expect you to do that, but anyway, I'll certainly come up with something for next week.
We will.
I think if you go back through the Messenger app, I said I've done some season predictions. I want you guys to do them as well.
So, I don't read it anyway. That's fine. That's not a hassle. My discussion point for the week
might be right. My
discussion point for the week is bigger fines for the causes of flat tyres. Because I'm getting jack of it. Golden Sunset. Mick Stanley's horse yesterday got a flat tyre again, pulled up out of the race. They travelled 2.5 hours all the way to Cobram. And I think there needs to be a bigger incentive for people to watch where their toes are going. I think sometimes it can be missed, but it seems like the new sulkies, the way drivers sit in them and all the rest, it seems like tyres are easy pickings. And it's one thing that really frustrates me from a commentator. When you see horses drop out really quickly, you hope everything's okay, and then you see a tyre completely off the rim, and it's just very, very frustrating. Chris Alford's horse, where did lob in the 1-1. Patrick Ryan's horse in the 1-1 in the Victorian Sires final. Flat tyre pulled out of it. So, I think it's just something that, you see driver fines, but, Anthony Butt won the Cup yesterday. I'm tipping the fine is less than what he would have won in prize money, that's for sure. So, I just think it's one of those things we could definitely change.
not real good, Paul.
Oh. Daniel, do you have a discussion point, please? Just hang on 1 sec, Daniel. I've just got to put this up. Thank you very much. All's good. Royo, mate, you all right?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, discussion, I think, is just the racing calendar. I think with obviously with everything that's happened with COVID and the changing of the moving of the racing season, I think the powers that be really need to sit down and work out a well-structured feature race calendar, so that with all the changes that have happened, and we've crammed a lot of good racing into a very short amount of time. We really need to be looking forward to the next 12 months and just sort of planning ahead, so that a lot of the good races still have good quality horses in them. Not so, that's obviously your security stuff, but also your country cups and your other feature races. No. We don't obviously want to cram it all in again like it has been this year, but it's just got where certain races fall. If we're going to move the sires to the end of the year and that sort of thing in the Breeders' Crown, we just need to make sure that we support those other feature races and make sure that they're not left to go to waste. As we saw, one of those big races at Smelt, where it was a $30,000 race, and it was a pretty, not what you would class as a $30,000 race field. We've got to try and avoid that. I think we just need to make sure that, having had all the stuff go on with COVID, that we make sure that and the changes that we've made, that we make sure that we back it up with a flexible program, so that all the good races still get the good horses that they deserve to run in.
Absolutely, I don't have an issue with that. That was a mares race, and I think mares races are always dicey, because some years you'll have no one, and then other years you have horses like Amaretto, and Emma had about 4 good ones that year, and they were just super horses. Make Mine Cullens, those horses were coming through as well. It just probably depends a little bit on what year and what your timing is as to when you actually get it. Tobes, I'm reasonably confident, because you were sunbaking there today at Charlton, that you haven't come up with a Woodlands winner for me.
No, I haven't. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I was happy with that in a way, because New Zealand Bloodstock, I'm going to be doing some promotions for them going forward as well. So to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, I've actually put up a photo of a yearling that was posted yesterday by Katrina Price. But this horse is lot number 315 in the New Zealand Bloodstock Standardbred sale, which you can go to nzb.co.nz. On their website to view this horse and all of their lots. Woodlands have got 36 yearlings going through in that same year, sales catalogue. But this bloke is actually a Bettor's Delight full brother to Perfect Stride. So that's not bad going. And there's another little one in there that doesn't go too bad at all. Probably one of the ugliest good horses I've ever looked at, Chicago Bull. Another full brother to him. So I don't reckon this one needs too much advertising, but he is lot number 315. It'll be I think it'll be great to watch it online. I know they've got a lot planned for their Adelaide sale, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see this one on the online sale, I must say. So, yeah, it's very interesting there. Lot number 315, as I said, Chicago Bear is his name. Full brother to Perfect Stride after yesterday's Cobram Cup win. Daniel, your Barristock winner, I'm intrigued by this one as well, in Aleppo Murphy.
Oh,
yes, had a couple of trials. The last couple of trials at Shep over the last couple of weeks, and it'll pay to watch those replays. Went 159 in its trial last week. Has David Bacon's got it, and it's going it's very, very keen. It's 2 trial runs. It's been really keen and run along. Ran a great time last trial. The trial before, I think it ran with Moonshine Linda, and they went good time as well. It's nominated for Shepparton on Cup Night on Saturday. Based on its trials, it's obviously feeling pretty good, obviously being really keen. It would probably want to settle a little bit better than what it has been at the trials, but it certainly would have to be a chance in the race that it's nominated for on Saturday night fields, so that'll come out Tuesday.
Just on the fact that we can be... Sorry, Tobes?
for those at home, the duck noises and the ducks for Duck Eastman, who's the owner of the horse and former co-trainer with Michelle. For those playing at home, Paul, which they know.
Just so you're aware, Tobe, no one saw your little duck gestures because I put a graphic over the top, so that part was wasted. But well done, that's all good. Daniel, did you have anything on Sir Lennox at $15 a place in the Bendigo Cup? It's a horse that you've been touting, and I love him too. And yeah, we talk about David Aiken's camp.
I was actually obviously calling the greyhounds there at Warrnambool. There was a race due to start at Warrnambool about 90 seconds after the Cup, and I was on air, so I couldn't actually watch the whole race, and I didn't have it. But I sort of had an eye on the screen. I could see him coming, and I thought, oh, don't you do this to me. But he didn't quite get there. But it was a great run.
No, it was indeed. Tobes, do you have anything else? You're looking through your computer at the minute. You got anything else to add?
Yeah, I do, actually. And a shout-out to Duncan Armstrong, Paul, who suffered a heart attack in November last year, the 200-metre freestyle gold medalist, 200 metres in the 1988 Olympics. Suffered a heart attack in November late last year, and I can't find any other news reports, so hopefully he's made a full recovery from that. Age 52 he was.
Well, hopefully he's 53 now.
Already.
So there you go.
And Phil wonders why this show is unstructured and unkept and all over the shot. Toby.
If anyone out there this week sees Paul, can they please call him Homer?
You just wait till you see yours. It's all fair and love and war. Don't you worry about that. And don't worry. The Shane Warne of harness racing with those stupidest hats ever going, he's got his coming up and too, so he'll be fine. Don't you worry about that.
DM from Monagita.
Yeah, dearie me.
I better let him know I put his name to that.
I think he'll know before you tell him. Don't you worry about that. Daniel, Albury on Tuesday night. What else have you got for the rest of the week?
Yeah, calling on course at Albury tomorrow, so that'll be a bit of fun, or Tuesday night. Trots Vision on Saturday night at Shep, involved there, and also with the local radio station as well. We'll be doing a simulcast from the track, so I'll be all over the place, and it'll be a busy night. But the early noms for the meeting, there's only 7 down in the Cup, so it'll be interesting to see if that sort of picks up with Lochinvar at the top of the list there. Sir Lennox also been nominated too, so it'll be an interesting Shepparton Cup on Saturday night, and also the George Gatton. We mentioned earlier that there was 3 of the Gas team already not entered into that race, so it promises to be a really good night out at the Postway on Saturday night.
And the weather will be kind because it's going to be a warm one this week, but I think it drops off from about Thursday onwards, so weather should be pretty good there for Shep on Saturday night. Tobes, SEN on Wednesday. Not a bad show. I actually tuned in the other day just to have a listen. I noticed I sent you a text message and you don't bother reading them out, but other than that, I don't think it was too bad a show.
Yeah, got Tots Live with Jason Bonington on Wednesday, Paul, on Melton Friday night and Hamilton Sunday. Judging
at Hamilton or work you?
The club's asked me to do some media, so
good.
I'll be doing on-track interviews like I did last year.
Very, very good. Good luck to the Hamilton club. Their noms won't be out yet, Toes, will they? They'll be tomorrow, Sunday, so they'll be tomorrow. So yeah, or today when we put this up.
I was at Charlton in the oven today, so I'm not quite sure, Paul.
No, they're generally out the next day.
They're out.
All right, boys. Thank you very much. This has been On Loose Lines, episode number 7. I might have to call this Heat Struck. I think would be the best way to go with it between the three of us. I think we've all had a bit of it this weekend, but it's been fun. Hopefully people have enjoyed it. Hopefully Phil's enjoyed it and he's watched it to the end and he just shakes his head again and can't believe we get it. And Daniel, great to see you've got a new cap on too, mate. I noticed that. I reckon the one yesterday might be still dripping, is it?
That's pretty much it, exactly. It was a bit soaked, so we've gone for the white version tonight. Go D's.
All right, boys. Thank you very much.
See you, Homer.